Have you ever seen the man who just won the World Cup apologize to the man who just lost it? Because that's exactly what happened after the FIFA World Cup 2026 final. Spain had just become world champions. The confetti was falling. 60,000 fans were celebrating. Every Spanish player was sprinting toward the trophy, except one. Instead of joining the biggest celebration of his life, 19-year-old Lamine Yamal turned around and walked away from it. Not toward his teammates, not toward the cameras, not toward the trophy. He walked across the entire pitch toward Lionel Messi. And when he finally reached him, he whispered just two words. Two words that nobody watching the live broadcast could hear. Two words that would leave millions of football fans speechless once Yamal revealed them after the match. But here's what makes this moment even more unbelievable. 19 years earlier, long before anyone knew the name Lamine Yamal, Lionel Messi had unknowingly held him in his arms. Not as a teammate, not as an opponent, as a baby. It sounds impossible. It almost sounds like something out of a movie, yet every part of it is real. And unless you know what happened back in 2007, you won't fully understand why those two words carried so much emotion. Because this wasn't just the end of a World Cup final. It was the ending of one football story, and perhaps the beginning of another. September 2007, inside Barcelona's locker room at Camp Nou, a UNICEF charity campaign needed a baby for a simple photo shoot. Not a famous baby, not someone special, just an infant connected to the club. By pure coincidence, a family from the Rocafonda neighborhood of Mataro brought in their baby boy. In those photos, a 20-year-old Lionel Messi, still years away from becoming the greatest player of his generation, gently bathed that baby in a small plastic tub while smiling for the camera. Nobody thought twice about the pictures. They were forgotten almost immediately, for nearly 2 decades, because nobody could have imagined that the baby in Messi's arms would one day become Lamine Yamal, the same Lamine Yamal who would grow up at La Masia, the same teenager who would shatter record after record, the same player who would eventually walk onto the biggest stage in football to face Lionel Messi himself. Not in a friendly, not in a club match, but in a FIFA World Cup final. Some stories are written by history. Others feel as though fate writes them itself. And this was one of them. Long before that final ever happened, Yamal had never hidden how much Messi meant to him. While the football world constantly compared him to Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, Yamal refused to play the usual game of distancing himself from his idols. When reporters asked about Messi's performances during the tournament, his answer was immediate. Every match Messi plays is proof he's the greatest player in history. And if anyone still argues otherwise, they're only looking for a reason to disagree. Think about that for a moment. A 19-year-old superstar, one of the biggest names in world football. Yet instead of trying to replace Messi, he openly admitted that Messi was still the standard everyone else was chasing. Now, the match. And this part matters because the real version of the story is more dramatic than any exaggeration could make it. This whole tournament had been building toward this exact collision. Spain steamrolled through competition, playing patient, possession-heavy football, the same style that had already won them a European championship. Argentina leaned heavily on Messi, and a defense built to grind out one-goal wins. The reigning champions did just enough, round after round, to keep the dream alive. Two completely different paths to the same Sunday afternoon. And on the day itself, Spain didn't just beat Argentina. They suffocated them. 90 minutes had gone by, and Argentina hadn't recorded a single shot on target. Not one. Messi tried everything. Dropping deep, chasing lost causes, running like a man half his age. But there was nothing for Argentina's attack to work with. On the other end, only goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez was keeping the score level, piling up saves that would eventually total 11, a World Cup final record. Then extra time made it even worse. Enzo Fernandez picked up a second yellow card just before the extra period, leaving Argentina to play a man down against a team that already had them boxed in. Messi finally managed Argentina's first shot of the entire match in the 117th minute. Blocked. Just 39 seconds into the second half of extra time, substitute Ferran Torres struck from close range and buried it. Spain's bench exploded, and the celebration that would define the night began. For Messi at 39, this was almost certainly his last World Cup. He had carried Argentina through the tournament with 8 goals, one of the greatest individual runs of the entire competition. And now, he was walking away from the final with nothing to show for it. When the whistle blew, he didn't move. He stood in the center circle, hands on his hips, staring into nothing. Then he sat down on the grass, pulled off his boots, and watched Spain lift a trophy that, just 30 minutes earlier, had looked like it might belong to him. Everywhere else on that pitch, Spain's players were doing exactly what you'd expect, sprinting toward the stands, piling on top of the goalkeeper, screaming into cameras. Pure chaotic joy, the good kind. Yamal didn't join it. Not yet. Instead, he turned and crossed almost the entire width of the pitch alone, walking against the current of his own celebration, straight toward the one man, sitting still in the middle of all that noise. When he reached him, he leaned down, and here's the part that isn't speculation. It's confirmed straight from Yamal's own mouth in interviews given just hours after the final whistle. He told Messi 2 words: "I'm sorry." That's it. No speech. No performance of the cameras, which, frankly, weren't even pointed at him. Messi's reply: according to Yamal, he congratulated him and told him he deserved it even more. Yamal has since described Messi as his idol, his GOAT, his everything. And he said he tried to console him right there on the grass before finally peeling away to rejoin his own teammates' celebration. It's a small exchange, 10 seconds, maybe less. Most of the broadcast at that exact moment was following the chaos happening elsewhere on the field, including heated confrontations between players from both sides. But days later, it's those 10 seconds people are still talking about. Somewhere during that embrace, a photographer captured the two of them together. Messi, a silver medal around his neck, eyes red, Yamal beside him. No smugness, no chest thumping, just quiet respect on his face. Put that photo next to the one from 2007, Messi holding a baby in a plastic tub, and you get one of the strangest, most striking visual bookends football has ever produced. 19 years apart. In one, Messi holds a future in his arms without knowing it. In the other, that future stands beside him as a newly crowned world champion at the exact moment Messi's story with his national team may have just ended. Here's what makes this more than just a nice gesture. Yamal is, by almost every reasonable expectation, about to inherit Messi's exact shadow at Barcelona. The same academy, the same left foot, the same position, cutting in from the right wing. Records broken at similarly absurd ages. He could easily lean into the "I'm different, don't compare us" routine. Plenty of young stars use that approach to carve out their own identity and distance themselves from a predecessor. He's done the opposite, publicly, more than once. He said it's an honor to be compared to Messi, while also making it clear that he wants to write his own story rather than copy someone else's. Ambition without erasing where you came from. That combination is rarer than people give it credit for, especially in a sport that rewards ego over almost everything else. It also comes at an interesting moment in the way people talk about young athletes in general. The usual story about a 19-year-old multimillionaire with a global following is that fame at that age only produces one kind of person, someone chasing clout, chasing the highlight reel, playing every big moment for the camera. And then a clip surfaces of exactly that kind of player walking away from his own trophy celebration, completely unprompted, to comfort the man who had just lost the thing he wanted most. No agent arranged that. No brand deal explains it. Just 2 words spoken quietly in a stadium that was still shaking from the noise. That's part of the reason this moment spread as far as it did. It wasn't only football fans sharing the clip. It was people who couldn't even tell you the offside rule, sharing a video of a kid choosing to be human before choosing to celebrate. In the days since, former players and pundits with no connection to either Barcelona or Argentina have pointed to this exact moment. Not the trophy, not the red card, not the shoving match. This, the image they'll remember from a final, not because it changed anything on the scoreboard, but because it was the only part of that night that had nothing to do with winning. Messi will almost certainly never play another World Cup match. That's the hard truth sitting underneath everything else in this story. He came into this tournament chasing a second World Cup title. He leaves it with 8 goals, a place in the history books as the oldest outfield player ever to start a World Cup final, and no trophy to carry home. But there's a difference between leaving with nothing and leaving after being told by the very player expected to carry the torch next that you're still the standard everyone else is measured against. Those aren't the same thing. One is a scoreline. The other is a legacy being confirmed in real time by the person about to inherit it. Yamal, meanwhile, still has to become the player expected to be Barcelona's next Messi under a level of scrutiny that didn't exist in quite the same way when Messi himself was coming up. That's not a small burden to carry at 19. But if the 2 words he chose in the single biggest moment of his career so far were, "I'm sorry," instead of anything about himself, that tells you something about how he plans to handle everything that's coming next. So here's what I want to know. Do you think Yamal can actually live up to what's being asked of him? Or is the next Messi simply an impossible standard that nobody should have to carry? And that walk across the pitch, was it genuine class? Or simply good instincts in front of camera he didn't even know was rolling? Tell me in the comments. I read every one of them. And if this is the kind of story you want more of, subscribe, because there's a lot more where this came from.